Again, I thought before I go into hibernation for my voice, because I've been trying to take a break here and there, but I think it's just inevitable. I could probably just have to slow my speech, drink some warm things, try to just take care of my voice as much as I can, but I still will progress, or will push forward, persist, whatever. I thought I need to get a Warhammer 40k video out for my 40k people, and I thought, since I've had videos recommended from ItalianSpartacus, let's do it. And I thought, I was like, I've gotten a few specific recommendations, but I have to go back and try to find them because I upload a lot. So when there's comments on other videos, they just start overlapping each other. And now they're recommending my old reactions on the channel to people. So now I'm getting comments from the older videos. So it's like, there's a lot happening, and I'm gonna find a way to perfectly funnel recommendations. And when I do that, just the one thing you could do me that would be so beneficial is just make sure you're paying attention for at least I'll literally put update to where you guys can send the reactions. Look out for that, because then I could really start making an official list, because I have a bunch of videos like on these folders that I have saved, and they're just all over the place, and I don't know which ones. Like, it's actually so mixed up now with like games that I have to cover too, that I don't even know which ones were actually recommended anymore. So yeah, so I was recommended to watch ItalianSpartacus, so I liked hearing about the Adeptus Custodes, and I just didn't know about them, but you hear the name here and there, and this actually caught my attention. So what should you do? You should do what interests you, and actually catch your attention, and that you may find interesting. And I think the Custodes got me. So we're going to do this one in parts. Without further ado, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, sending out a lot of love. I'm talking very strangely because my throat is sore. I think it's throwing off my my thought patterns too, but I'm going to do my best here. Right before we start, 1 second. It would be a cut for you, but we're going to get into this. Shout out to ItalianSpartacus. If you want me to take it out on my video, I do not mind. And shout out to all the Warhammer 40k people. Love you guys. Thanks for the support. And did you drink your water? Did you work out today? Did you go for a brisk walk? Did you just be grateful that you woke up today? And other than that, I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Let's go, guys. I don't know, I got hype out of nowhere, got a lot of energy, but I had to throw my blanket in the washer because I peed the bed. Listen, Fulgrim popped in here, and I was like, nah. Oh shit, okay, I can't laugh. I can't make myself laugh. I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna die of my voice. I'm gonna surgery. Tonsils, nah.
8th edition is really starting to kick into full gear with the next set of codexes coming out for all
it's really low for me on my speaker.
the races of Warhammer 40,000. And with that, we've gotten a fresh look at some of the races we've come to know and love. Blood Angels, for example. Oh, man, that was a good codex. But with those older armies comes some new ones as well. And the Adeptus Custodes have finally received their first full-fledged non-Forge World, non-White Dwarf codex. And this is a majestic time, as they are some of the coolest regal and enigmatic figures in the early and current Imperium.
And I totally agree. These are, as I'm seeing from the little artwork in the background, they have the pointed helmets, right? This is why I was ready to get into them, because they're the Eldar, right? I'm wrong? He said they're craft worlds. They're little white dwarf craft worlds, and I think, oh, 1 sec, too. Started dying mid-video. Okay, let's go.
In the earlier days of the hobby, they were mentioned purely in the fluff or in these beautiful illustrations of Space Marines decked out in heavily engraved power armor with these red plumes and top helmets and such. They also had these glorious spears. But they were known as the Emperor's Guardians, a Legio Custodes. Today, though, we're going to cover their early history in the Unification Wars, all the way up to present day. And just as a heads up, if you're reading any of the Horus Heresy books, I might spoil some things from Betrayer Master of Mankind, and other books. So if you're up to date, you'll be fine. But I wanted to forewarn y'all. But without further ado, and I'm not even French, let's get into the Adeptus Custodes.
You know what I like too before we actually touch down into there is that this is like, it's like a spear warhammer. Literally warhammer. It's like a well, what it looks like is a semi-automatic rifle, and then it looks like a hammer right here. And like that's like the back of the hammer. That's like, I forgot what is that even used for? But it's like cool how it's like a multi-tool of a gun.
We've talked about the Primarchs of many of the legions, or Adeptus Astartes, or Legionis, or Adeptus Astartes, and we've gone in about their gene seeds, their home worlds, etc. And things are very different, if not distantly similar, for the Adeptus Custodes. The custodians of the Emperor are the consummate Praetorians, the Golden Brotherhood that always flank, protect, guard, and execute for their immortal Emperor. And over 9 feet tall, just like a standard space marine, these golden giants are almost regarded as myth more than fact. If we're to think of the history...
Wait, so the Custodes are not Eldar? I'm lost. Where did I mix that up? My bad. I guess that's on me. I really thought the Custodes were Eldar.
History of all things Space Marines, they're even further back in the timeline than the Proto Space Marines, the Thunder Warriors. And this does not by any means make them obsolete. And here's why, and this is kind of an important thing we haven't really touched much on. Technology in Warhammer 40,000 is in a rampant decline, which is weird because you have all these sci-fi spaceships, Space Marines, and the future of Philips Hue and Lumen Globes. But this is a truly low point. The Mechanicum does whatever they can to recover recover technology, namely standard template constructs, or STCs as they're called, from before Old Night during what is called the Dark Age of Technology. That's when all these STCs came about. Now that sounds ominous, right? Like it's a bad thing? It's not. The Dark Age of Technology was humanity's absolute height, where they knew the most and were at the bottom. Like they knew the most, they were the most technologically advanced. Their empire expanded far and wide, and now we're at the bottom of the barrel. So this lends credence to the fact that the Custodes would be even more advanced than their Space Marine cousins. So we can go into the Thunder Warriors in another video if you guys want, but I'll get back on track here. So these are the very first of the Emperor's foray into genetically engineered super soldiers, the perfect weapon for the Emperor's will. And they're so far advanced that only a Primarch can really match their martial skill. In Betrayer, we have some of the other Marines, actually I think it's Word Bearers, actually dueling with the Custodians. And they talk about how they are straining against all of their might to try and get one hit on these guys. And they're acting like they're training, the Custodians are acting like they're training neophytes. So they're leaps and bounds above the rest. Unless you're possessed by a demon, but that's cheating and apostasy. So take that, heretic. But one thing I do want to note is...
Okay, so I was wrong. Wait, so why did it seem like when Major Kill... I guess I was wrong. I guess maybe by the way the Custodes were talked about in the first time I heard the Custodes, which I think it was through Major Kill, I guess I was under the impression that they were Eldar, but I guess that wasn't clear. How was that not clear? Nah, fuck, I don't know. How, like, what? Anyways, okay. I don't know where I got that mixed up.
The Word Bearers actually mentioned that the Custodians don't fight as a unit or as one squad or unified portion or army. They fight solo? Individually. They fight as singular warriors. They don't fight.
I was going to say solo, but I literally just wanted to say duo because I wanted to mix it up. Like, I feel like it's always like that with OP. Like, not, okay, I don't want to say overpowered characters, but very strong characters. Like, you don't hear two very strong characters hopping somebody. Somebody switch up the story. Like imagine if he said trios. Like, it was like my mind instantly went to solos, and I was like, no, I don't want to just hear again that they fight solo. Of course they fight solo.
Fight as a whole. So that's something that they kind of point out and say, like, look at them. They're extremely efficient killing machines, but they're singular killing machines at that. But to go further into those differences, we should go into the induction process. Just like the Space Marines, the Custodians go through a similar process of augmentation, alchemical application, and various other procedures to make, quote unquote, them superhuman.
Okay, makes
And they're
sense.
chosen from a pool of candidates and then planted with the gene seed and blood of the emperor himself, the purest of all forms of augmentation. And the success rate is heroically low. Heroically.
Makes sense.
The Space Marines look at a wide range of success when initiates transition into becoming Space Marines.
They make sense though. Okay, so super highly elite, the Custodians. Wait a minute, and like, hang on. I think this is funny too, but I'm gonna look it up just to make sure, like I just did earlier. Oh, okay. Wow, that's actually funny. You know what's weird? So I looked up custodian, right? Because when you hear custodian, maybe the first time you heard of it was when you were in school, and they would say, you know, like, so it's funny because it says the U.S., right? This is why I love words and love like the origin of words. And I have a video on my channel if you're really curious about curses and spells. But I love how so like they talk about the, I guess, like, you know, the little, like, they show the branching path about how the word came about if you look it on here. But I guess it derives from custody, which is the pattern of a guardian. So you think, like, you know, who has custody over you. And I think that's funny because, like, they always referenced janitors as custodians. And custodian means a person who has a responsibility for or looks after something. So janitors, they look after the building. So you hear them as custodians. But teachers, I mean, they look over the education that they teach us. Not necessarily, I think, curriculum. Anyways, we're not even going to get into school. But the point is just like, I guess teachers can be considered custodians too, because they look over the knowledge and they look over the students. I don't know. But that's funny about their name, the Adeptus Custodes. Like, I don't know. It's actually weird now that I say it out loud, because now I'm thinking like their name and then like the success rate of them, because I was going to go into that first, but then I ended up just going into the Custodes. But going into the success rate of them. Okay, look, that does see, but that's also a trope in itself also, that the success rate is really low. They're hella advanced. It's kind of like playing on that, but I like it though, because I really do mess with them. They really did catch my interest, like piqued my interest.
Their bodies generally accept the gene seed. Maybe one in several tens or maybe 100 accept it. In the case of the Custodes, it's far lower. Maybe one in several or 100,000. I'm sorry, one or several thousand. By this example, though, you have a fighting force.
Okay, so the one in 100 is like the Space Marines, and then this is 1 in 7,000 for the extreme witchers.
That could never work on that level that the legions could during the Great Crusade. Even at its absolute height, the Custodians only numbered like 10,000. So it earns them the title the 10,000, which is hauntingly unoriginal. But we have this echoed in Master of Mankind, where the Custodians or other personnel are it earns them the title the 10,000, which is hauntingly unoriginal. But we have this
which is hauntingly unoriginal. Well, like, yeah, most of the, never mind, let me not say it.
Echoed in Master of Mankind, where the Custodians or other personnel are constantly referring to the greater collective of Legionis Custodes as the 10,000.
You know what I think too? For me, it's their aesthetic. Like the fact that, like, how they're gilded in their armor, the way the armor looks, the way like the robes and stuff are draped, and then the kind of like, even like right here for this guy right here, I don't know if they all have it. I don't know. There's something about just these guys are cooler than these guys. I don't really like the little hawk or like the bald eagle, whatever, guarding like the head in that weird pattern. That's kind of like weird to me. This kind of still looks cool though. It looks like some Roman centurion armor, but whoa, look at this guy's gun. This looks like the handle of a sword, the hilt, and then like it goes up into like a black blade, but it's in reverse, but it's a gun. Bro, the Empire weapons, that funny, got a video for that, don't worry. But may tackle it after this one if I'm not completely roasted.
Even most of what we know is
Actually,
shrouded
both
in a good deal of myth and hearsay. There's this one titanic battle in the early days of the Great Crusade. And one thing to note, a lot of the bigger battles were against orcs that had spread to consume entire systems. In fact, we know that during the Ulanor Crusade, the Imperium was fighting against a massive orc empire. This being the crusade that the emperor then eventually, quits the Great Crusade and says, "I'm out of here, guys. Take care of it from here, boys." I digress. It is said that no more than 1,000 custodians have been seen in one place at any one time, and during the Battle of Gyros Thravian, that's exactly what happens. You have Horus, you have Rogel Dorn, you have Mortarion, and they're beset on all sides by this massive green tide. It's Horus's trademark move. Go for the head of the snake with a three-pronged attack. Attack with the center being the strongest. And they kind of have this moniker that's always go down the center. It's a sentiment that's echoed across Horus's legion. And in this, they fell into a trap. And we're slowly being overwhelmed by this vast greenskin army. And the Emperor teleports to the top of a Gargant, think an orc titan, to kill their leader, Garkul. In doing so, though, he broke the back of the mighty orc Wa, and as his custodians slaughtered over 100,000 orcs with only 3 dying. Wow. Each one's name, though, was written upon the Emperor's armor by his own hand. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of tradition that carries over to the Grey Knights, this venerating of the honorable dead in a chapter, quote-unquote, if it could be called that, of an elite few. There's a lot of that kind of early day hyperbole that goes on here too, like 100,000 orcs fell before the Custodes.
Oh yeah.
With only 3 dying.
Got him.
Yeah, it's probably as expanded as it is with the Battle of Thermopylae, with 300 Spartans squaring off against millions of Persians, when it was actually probably a smaller number. But you deal with it as it goes. It kind of adds to the space opera fluff of it all.
Yeah, the fluff. It really adds to just to bolster the story. Just want to make it sound more hype than it was.
We have a baseline established of who the Custodians are. Let's go deeper into their origins around the time of the Unification Wars. And it would probably make a lot of sense to start with the big question, what are the Unification Wars? Well, throughout the Age of Strife, the subsequent end of the Dark Age of Technology, so just to kind of put this into a timeline here real quick for you, Dark Age of Technology, Old Night happens, that's the Age of Strife. Right before the Age of the Crusade.
That's familiar,
which
I remember.
is a whole different thing on and of itself. But all of Terra is pretty much cut off from their empire amongst the stars that we talked about was created during the Dark Age of Technology. And this happens around the 25th millennium, 25th, 6th or 7th, one around there, and results in a ton of infighting and the rise of techno-barbarians. Sounds so sick, right? And there had to have been a nation that ruled all of humanity before, but no one really knows anything or of that like kind of bygone era, or it was lost in the Age of Strife. So as humanity devolved into anarchy and infighting, a large amount of techno-barbarian states emerged in the mix. I'm going to throw up a quick map here for you guys just to give you an idea of how many of these existed, but the lore on this alone is vast. Very vast. You can tell from this map, it's huge, and it requires a video all to itself to do it proper justice. But this is just meant to give you a perspective. The Emperor is coming back into a lawless humanity where he finally decides to step from the shadows and lead mankind. And that's an important note here too. We know from books like Master of Mankind or just the general history of the Emperor, he's been around for forever. He was a culmination of shamans that took their lives to basically help combat chaos down the road, because they noticed that as proto-psychers were dying, their souls were getting...
Well, hang on there, partner, because I don't know if that's the actual lore. Anyways, well, I guess we'll stop there on 936, funny enough, and we will tap into more parts of this later. But yeah, what he just ended on right there, was it Luton or was it Baltimore? A Baltimore video I watched where literally, funny enough, maybe I didn't upload that, but maybe I did. Can't remember. I do a lot of videos, but where the origin of the Emperor is really not known, like, or at least, the origin is really like, it's like kind of gets mixy, but I think whoever I was watching, I think it was Baltimore, but I can't be wrong in that. I don't want to misquote somebody, but the funny thing was whoever's video I watched on it was like, to be fair, I think they didn't like that origin of the Emperor, what he just said about shamans sacrificing their soul or like creating it, something like that. But yeah, it's been a minute since I really watched any Warhammer 40k stuff, but getting back into it. But alright, much love and moonlight to y'all. I will see you in the next parts, and we will finish off the Adeptus Custodes. I really thought they were Eldar, or not finish it off. It might be a couple parts, but I should just read comments after. But yeah, anyways, okay. Tell me if there's like if you think too like oh damn, I don't want to say that because I want to finish what I started. Nah, yeah, now that I started, I'm a person that finishes what they started. I want to finish it. If there's a better video by ItalianSpartacus, put it on this video now. This is why I say I gotta really filter where I get the recommendations, because they're yeah, we'll figure it out. Well, I will, but thank you guys still for all the support. I'll see you before my voice completely dies and get to that next video that I talked about, since I was looking at the weapons a lot in this one. Alright, see y'all. Much love and moonlight.